Yes, we're doing an afternoon. Well, it's technically 11:39 a.m. my time, but we're doing a daytime stream on my day off, which is nicey nicey. And my friends in Europe can finally pop on and enjoy the show. Yeah, there you go. Got some chill music in the background. Trying to get the right angles on these guys. Maybe that's. Tox is here. Hi. How we doing there? I hear you. I will say good morning because it's early. It's not early morning. It's like 11:30 over here. How are you doing? What's new? What's shaking in Tox world? How is your? You were telling me about you're leading a group at your school. I think it's some kind of academic club or something. How's that going? It's night, 9:41. I'm doing good. Great. Good to hear it. Have you had any time to do any artwork? I know you're pretty busy, it seems. Yes, I'm busy with my exams. Gosh, you have exams all the time. What the heck is going on? Whoosh, I miss you. Oh, what a sweet thing to say. Well, I miss you too. It's always fun having you on the stream. You've got really good energy. You know what I mean? And good positive energy is what I like and what I need. So very happy. I continue to get, you know, artists on the show that just kind of discover the show and pop on and ask a lot of questions about how to draw. Couple like I think 2 shows ago I did an art lesson. You might want to look back in there and see if you can find that one. Let's see. Sorry for not getting active. Don't worry. Yeah, but you've got some really good drawing skills, so it seems like you know. I guess you gotta find time, right? Tough to do when you're going to school. Yeah, that's how it goes. Hmm. Yeah, it's almost back to school time over here, and it's funny. Like, I mean, I haven't been to college in many years, but every time it gets to the end of the summer and beginning of fall, I just have that kind of nostalgic feeling for going back to school. Of course, when I was young, I was very nervous about it, but you know, I think that's normal. Oh, let's see. Growing up, yeah. Hey, Greg's here. How we doing, buddy? I will go to college next year. Okay. What are you going to study in college, Tox? How you doing? Are you taking care of yourself, Mr. Kent? If you don't, I'll come over and take care of you. Well, that's a very generous offer. There's always room for improvement. I'm doing fine. I've got some really great things going on in my life. I'm very happy about, namely the freelance art. I have two art freelance art jobs that I do, and so that keeps me pretty busy. But I'm still dancing on the weekends, and I'm going to be now. I have two kung fu students, so it'll be interesting to get that going. For me, when I teach kung fu, I'm really just doing it to get sparring partners. I'm just trying to train people who I can spar, because sparring is how you keep your skills up. Um, just punching bags and doing forms in thin air is not it's not enough. It's you. I mean, if you're studying English and you never spoke to anybody in English, you know what I mean. It's never gonna be good enough. You have to talk to somebody. You have to interact, and you don't know how the conversation's gonna go. You know, so that's what sparring is when you're practicing the forms. That's like studying from a book. You know, but until you actually talk to somebody and you hear them, anyone who speaks a second language should understand what I'm saying. Um, it's easy enough to do it from a book, and people usually speak very fast, like it's just a natural human thing. So, like when I was studying Chinese, and then you get out in the world and people will they blast out at you some sentence. You speak a little Chinese and they think you speak it fluently, and they'll just fly, they just blah 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 blah. And I have to say, I don't. My Chinese is really bad, and you know, you know, help me out or whatever. Just go slow or something. Um, and then I can only maybe in some cases maybe I only hear or I understand maybe 30% of the sentence, and then I'll cobble together the meaning, and then I'll ask them a question like, is this what you mean? And it's a yes or a no, and that's how I kind of get through. That's my little technique. Anyway, I'm practicing YK. I don't know what YK stands for in Discord. I met new people, and I'm doing good at it. Well, tell me, what does YK stand for, and then I can say good job. All right, lovely, lovely. This page is almost done. I think I gotta turn my music down a little bit, though. Give me a second. Be right back. Sorry. The page disappeared. The art ran away. All right, let's get another page up then. Okay. Some new pencil pages I've got going on. YK means okay. See, I don't, I'm not as cool as you. I don't know all that cool stuff. So let's just get on with it, shall we? Um, I'm actually going dancing this evening. DJ in town gave me free tickets to his event, and it's nice when they do that because that means like you got a good vibe, and I want you at the show so you can get other people dancing. And I certainly will do that. I got a heartbreak too, Mr. Kent. Oh no, I hate when that happens. I'm in a state of perpetual heartbreak myself. Actually, that's another story. Give me advice. Well, what's the question? Ask me a question and I will give you advice. Okay? I'm not saying that's good advice, but I'll give you some advice. All right, so it's like even okay, give me advice. It's like even I lose a friend, it hurts bad. Oh God, yeah, I know that feeling. My friend made some really good chicken parm last night. Way to change the topic there, buddy. That's nice. Good for you. Nothing like a good chicken parm. All right, doing a little artwork here today. Um, yeah, the whole thing with friends breaking up and that kind of stuff. I had some really, really bad ones, and they were over politics. Like these are people I've known since long, long, long time ago. Went to school together, and I mean, I'm not a Trump guy. I don't. That's a deep topic. I'm not going to get into. But um, in 2016, when he came into office, it was him or Hillary Clinton. It's just like not a choice. And so I and at the time I believed that he was more for America and blah 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 all that stuff, which I'm very very nationalistic. I'm very pro America, so I believed it, and then I voted for that. And my God, I like so many of my friends just stabbed me in the back and abandoned me, and I was devastated at the time. I was like, how could you do that? How can you do that? We've known each other for years and blah 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 blah. And then I made all new friends. There's I don't know what's going on in your life, but like people, I would just say that they're kind of like sheep. Like they just follow what everyone else is doing, and if everyone's doing a certain thing, then they just follow it without questioning it. And that's bad, but it's real and it's true. You know what I'm saying? So unfortunately, like if I had just kept my mouth shut and not talked about politics, I'd still know those people. And then somebody else would say, well, then you got to ask, like, are they really the kind of people that you would want to be friends with? And I'm like, well, I don't, it's not that I'm so judgy or whatever. I can accept people with different views. We had history, we were friends. And you just don't throw that out, you just don't throw that out. And so there you go. When let's read some comments. Craig says when you use stainless steel, you can use 100% of the pen. Okay. Art, nice to meet you. Oh, Tox. Okay. Same. Nice to meet you. Valley Odinson is here. Hello. Is it Valley? Good to meet you. Thank you for coming to the show. It's good. Good to have you here. Um, are you in Europe or America? What country are you coming from? Odinson. And uh, very good. I've always, I have friends that are pretty serious Asatru practitioners, and we've had lots of great conversations about Odinism or Asatru or paganism. What would you say is the correct term? Should I call it Asatru, Odinism? Paganism to me is just like a slur. Like I don't really feel that that's the proper term for indigenous European uh, spiritual traditions. But maybe you can help me out with the proper terminology. That'd be helpful. But I'm a big supporter of that. Is essentially what I'm saying. Mm. First thing I always do is lay out the panels. It's an important part of the storytelling. Gives me the framework. You know, for me, the anatomy is the most fun part, and the architecture is maybe, I wouldn't say it's the least fun, but it's the hardest because it's very technical and you cannot make a mistake. You really got to be very focused. And if you do make a mistake, you got to know, you got to figure out how to cover it up somehow. I mean, in most cases, if I make a mistake, I'll fix it in Photoshop. Sometimes it happens. Um, there's any number of reasons why that can happen. But let's see. Craig says it is a slur and a slander at this point, used to be proper terminology, from my understanding, at least as a broad term. Yeah. Right. I mean, growing up, when I heard paganism, I didn't think of it as an adult. I think it was like a non-Christian European spiritual traditions. That's pretty much all I thought that it was. But maybe I'm crazy. Anyway, so what is going on in your world, Vali Odinson? What do you got going on? Are you a subscriber to my channel? Do you know my work? Familiar with my work at all? All right, we're almost ready to get cooking. All right, so that laying out the panels is kind of like setting the table for the meal. Think of it that way. Vale says, just waking up. I am subbed, hung out here a few times. Cool. Das ist gut. If you're in Europe, then, oh, no. If you're just waking up, then you're probably maybe over on the West Coast, I would assume. I'll be honest, I am a little disappointed. I had a little breakfast get together, just waking up about that, with someone close to me, and we didn't really set a time, and she wanted to do it at like 7:30 in the morning, and it's my day off, and so I'm not naturally going to get up at that time on my day off. And to be honest with you, I did go out a little bit last night, but and so I wake up and I get a text, I guess we're not getting together today. And I'm like, well, slow down, I'm up. I'll come pick you up. Da da da. And then I was like, oh well, no, I've got all these things today and some blah 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, shit. So we rescheduled for tomorrow, but it just feels bad. Feeling sad. I guess I'll be okay. Hopefully. All right. You know what this guy is? This meme called the Chud. You guys know the Chud meme? Nothing ever happens. Chud. Um, in this story, the Chud is also like a type of a vampire. Um, hence the fangs. So this whole book is all memes and influencers in the political culture, um, ideologies, and they're all personified into superheroes and supervillains. And so I really believe that's a very clever literary device, I guess, if you will. And it makes for really interesting, something new. It's like that's never been done before. So it's nice to see, and really, really, really curious to see how it goes, how it's received. You know what I'm saying? Um, I think people who are more in the know are gonna obviously like it more. Like people who are plugged in with internet culture, they're gonna, they're the ones that are gonna get it better. Um, yeah, there you go. Let's see. You have people close to you. You guys are having breakfast. Interesting concept for a book. Yeah. Yes, I have people close to me. I know it's kind of crazy. I'll say that's kind of interesting though, because like I got a couple friends out on like the house music scene, but I feel honestly though that's a lot of just sort of inauthentic club friends. They're not people that I hang out with or actually talk to. Like they don't really know who I am. And a lot of them being liberal or whatever, that's a good thing. I don't want them to know who I am. I can't, go through the same shit that I went through in 2016. I'm not there to talk politics. I'm there to dance. It's there to have fun. Blow off some steam, dance with some beautiful women, that kind of stuff. So, um, what else? Although there's definitely a small bunch of guys that I am buddies with on the scene, and I can actually talk to. Two of which are now going to be my kung fu students, which I'm psyched about. Let's read. Craig says, for those who aren't, it should be a good guideline for them. I missed the context here. Concept. Oh, okay. Oh, guideline. I get your point. Yeah, that's a good point there, Craig. But of course, many who aren't will complain that they don't get it as a way to dismiss things outside their bubble. Some of them, at least. That is so on point, bro. That is so, so on point. Um, wow. That is a damn good hot take right there, my man. It's so much easier to be like, oh, that sucks, than actually spend the time to try to understand a thing. It's like, people, the laziness, like the laziness of people to not, like, It used to be that like on internet forums or in the comments section, you'd get the guy that's like source, that meme, like what's the source? Oh yeah, well you got to show me the data. So, and like those guys already have their mind made up. Like they don't even when you show them the data, they'll be like, "Oh, that's bullshit. That's not a reliable source." Blah, 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 blah. If it's not CNN, then it's not a real source. You know, all fact checkers. Blah, 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 blah. They're faux intellectuals. You know what I'm saying? Fake intellectuals. They want to appear intelligent without actually being fucking intelligent. Sorry for the language, but if I don't swear, I will lose my mind. I think in the right company, it's okay to swear, but certainly you don't. You gotta be socially aware. Anyway, yeah. So, but no, it should be fine. I think that people who are not in the know will get in the know after this thing goes viral. That's what I'm thinking. Um, I shouldn't get anyone all excited. This is not like set in stone, but there is talk of turning this graphic novel into an animated series. Yes, you heard that right. Talk, though. Okay, so it doesn't mean it's going to happen. It's just, but the fact that it's being talked about and that there's resources to make that happen is pretty damn exciting. You get my point? So it's not impossible. It's just still in the realm of probability. Let's put it that way. Oh, I sound so intelligent. Ooh, maybe I too can be a faux intellectual. Wow, I gotta hone my skills. Let's see, how pretentious can I be? Let's see, I gotta get a fedora. Milady. Yeah, I'll start off with a fedora. And I won't bathe for a week. What else? Oh, those are just cliches. All right, this is Clown World. You guys all know Clown World. This is Demoncrat, which is a play on Democrat. And I can't remember the name of this meme. It's just I stink at remembering things. Let's read some comments. We got some cool comments coming down the line here. For those who I read that, Vali says, I hope I'm saying your name right. I'll just say Odinson. My best friend will pass me memes I don't get. I will spend 30 seconds trying to make sense of it till I have to ask him to explain it. Sucks getting old. Ugh. Yeah. Oh man. And there's just so many memes and things that you know. But it's fun to stay on top of it, though. I think. Um, when you're out on like the dance scene, like I am and stuff, there's obviously a lot of younger people, and they've got their slang and stuff. Like hey, roll up, and this and that, and it's like it's fun to use, but at the same time, it's like, do I look like that weird older dude that's trying to pretend he's young? It's like, you know, it's just I don't know. You got to see the humor in this stuff. When you're an authentic person and you're cool with who you are, these things are not issues. Dead ass. Dead ass has been around a long time, but people are still using it though. Dead ass. What a weird expression. Anyway, yeah, I'd hurt myself trying to keep up. Ouch. Chief Moody. Look who's here, ladies and gentlemen. This is the greatest Scotsman right here in our presence. Chief Moody, what have you been up to, Chief? What's going on with your show, your channel? Now, are you on Rumble or just YouTube or like what's your? Tell us more about your channel, buddy. Give us plug your channel a little bit here. All right. Good morning. That's the thing. Sorry. Okay. Craig says that's the thing about memes that are cool, but makes them hard to keep up with sometimes. They are pretty much all inside jokes. They are. That's a good point. Here's the problem that when we started this graphic novel, we're using memes from 3 years ago, and in internet time, that's a long time ago. So we've had to update some things and add some new things, um, and even change some of the things because some influencers were not cool are now cool, or that we trusted, now we know we can't trust them. you know this things change out there in the world. Chief Moody, do you know anything about what's going on with Millennial? um Millennial Woes, for those who do not know, he does a really important show in our sphere every Christmas, where he introduces new talent, new influencers, vloggers, creators, and his show is like an important kind of watermark for that. And I won't say I got started on Millennial, but I when I was on it, it put me on the map. And there was some years ago that I was on the show. It was really a pretty big deal. It was a big deal for me at the time. And of course, you go from, it's not like overnight sensation, but you kind of go from just a dude on the internet to like somebody that becomes known. So it's an important part of our internet culture. But since he's been deplatformed and debanked and all this horse shit that happens to people in the UK because they're speaking the truth and advocating for white well-being and all that, he's having financial problems with the show and so forth. So he put out a call for you know like help, basically, to get like a crowdfunder thing going. So anyway, let's check the chat. I think he's looking for a new location from the Millennial this year. So when you say new location, do you mean like somebody's channel or an actual physical location? Um, I'm not really clear on that part of it. I think because he was saying something about his apartment or something, and I can't really recall. Hmm. This guy that I have here in this meme character, he reminds me of uh, Andrew Tate. Is that his name? Tate's brother. Did you ever see it? Andrew Tate's bald. Is his name Andrew Tate? You know the guy I'm talking about. He's like a sleazy, fake right wing influencer who just like grifts on every talking point that we have. At one point, he was like, "The only way to save Europe is to become Muslim." I'm like, yeah, right. You're on our side, sure, right. The guy is a freaking pimp. He went to jail in Romania for pimping women. He's like, and like naturally, he's like a former MMA guy. Naturally, right? What did you expect from meathead culture? One of my students, my new students, I should say, he he recently got into. I'll just say this: like a black guy tried to mug him. Okay, and so that he decided he got out of it. He kind of ran away from the situation, but um, it made him realize, fuck, I got to learn self-defense. And that's how a lot of people come into it, you know. And so he got sucked into the MMA tube of you know, jujitsu is the way of, it's the best martial art of all time. You know, and I've been fighting this fight for a long time. So I didn't, you know, I wasn't poo-pooing jujitsu, but I said, well, hey, you know, why don't you come to my class and you can learn other stuff, you know, like not just ground fighting. You can learn punch, block, kick routines and stuff, you know. And he's like, yeah, yeah, sure, I'd be totally into that, you know. So, and he's one of us. He's a big time right winger guy, not an activist per se, but like those, that's his, you know, his ideology, if you will. And we're both like secret white right wingers out on the club scene. You know, we're like we're in the know, and we, you know, the kind of secret handshake kind of thing, you know. Anyway, that's fun. Moving on. What have we got here? Craig says, are we talking about millennial woes? Yes, that is correct. In this world, our people need to learn both physical and psychological defense. Extremely good point, my friend. Um, I think it should just be like a standard rule in our movement for exactly what you said. And of course, there's, you know, lots of good martial arts and stuff out there. Um, the psychological self defense though is a whole thing in itself. You know, it's like understanding the, you know, like, you know, what do you call that? Straw man arguments, and you know, there's ad hominem attacks. I mean, there's like a whole list of these sorts of leftist, narcissistic talking techniques. I don't know what argument techniques, I guess, that they use. Um, and it's so tired. It's like so overused. And if you've been around the internet for long enough, you just see these fucking things over and over and over. You know, and it does get easy to like completely, you know, decimate these people. It's not hard at all, actually, once you know their stupid techniques and shit. Um, One thing that I say fairly frequently when I'm in these kind of scenarios is insults are not arguments, and therefore you lost the debate. You know? And they flip out, you know, they freak out because they don't have any, they, you know, it's like, oh, I don't agree with you, and you're you know, posting links, or you know, you've got a way to back up your talking points, and so then they realize that, you know, you're not following the code, the conformity code, and then they'll just go right after you. They'll go for your throat, you know. And then if you just calmly say, you know, insults are not arguments, so like you lost. Like, what do you got? What do you got? What do you got? And they didn't. I mean, it's not like I spend all day engaging in those things, but and I do it less and less and less. But every once in a while, I'll see something. I'm like, I have got to fucking take that down. I have just got to destroy that, and I'll go in and drop some truth bombs and take a dump on the whole thing, and then walk away. And then what's fun actually is to see all the people who like your comments. You know, I consider this a kind of activism, because there's people that just don't have the talking points, or they don't really know how to navigate that world, so to speak. So like if you're out there and you do it for them, then they appreciate it. You know, they're like, "Wow, man, you killed that one. That was funny." And then you see that they send you friend requests. You know what I mean? Like, oh wow, man, I'm that guy from that thread over there. I love what you said. You know, what's been really neat for me recently is how many, frankly, black people are coming out to me and they're like, "Yeah, man, I really dug what you said out there on that thing," and it's like, cool, yeah, all right, allies, that's always appreciated, definitely. Because I'm so used to being demonized and like, oh well, you're the white conservative guy, so you're automatically evil and wrong, and you know, it's like, look away, children. He might change forms. He is demonically possessed. They other you, like they dehumanize you. You know what I mean? It's pretty awful. But anyway, that's old hat. Old hat, as they used to say back in my day. Let's read some chats. Let's go back and read some chats. Hold on. Millennial. In this world, are people. I read that. Every fear is based on another fear, usually bad on multiple fears. Based on a multiple. People aren't afraid of fighting mainly due to fear of pain, but due to fear of jail, prison, due to fear of being criticized, demonized. Odinson says, although I stay out of internet debates since my heavy trolling days on the net, I learned quickly how to deconstruct their arguments until they want to change the subject. Look, a squirrel. Oh my God, look, a squirrel. Oh, did you see there's a sale on at Walmart with a little, and I'm like, this fall to pieces. It's pretty funny. Um, it's heartbreaking though when you see people that are like, don't talk politics. I'm like, why are you actively trying to silence me? Like, if you can't, it's like, if it's too hot, get out of the kitchen kind of thing. Like, you don't have to be in there, you can just observe, but like to stop me, like, you have anything better to do with your life. And then another thing I find, oh God, this is annoying. There should be a name for this. There's got to be a meme for this, where people who will hyper focus on one tiny part of your argument and blow that up to be the whole argument. There's probably a name for that. I'm assuming there is. Or they'll mischaracterize something that you said and turn it into something you didn't say, and then they'll take that and then make that the like the whole crux of your argument. That's actually a form of like psychological abuse. Like narcissists and sociopaths do shit like that in marriages and things. I know because I was married to one. And like for years I she just like spun me in circles with this kind of like psychological warfare. I'm ashamed to say that, but when you're born and raised like just a good person, like be a good person. You're not prepared to deal with the facts of life where, the world is predator and prey. It's the world is filled with evil people. And then if you just be nice, be a good person, you're fucked. You're just shooting fish in a barrel. You have no hope, and look at the older generation and how they get scammed by these like phone scammers and shit. Like that's a perfect example of like trust. Granted, that's dealing with foreigners and like low trust societies, and that's another dimension of these things. But I have this troll who that's literally what he lives for, is just like trying to find something I said that he, you know, can turn into an issue. And that's the whole other side of it. It's like if pulling someone down makes you feel powerful, take a fucking look in the mirror, asshole. You know what I'm saying? Like, get a life, honestly, because it really doesn't affect me. Obviously, if it did, I wouldn't continue doing what I do. You know what I mean? It's petty. It's very, very low IQ. What are you gonna do? These people live in the world. We live in a society. There's another meme for you. We live in a society. Let's read some chats. It's nice to have you guys here, by the way. Thanks for joining me and hanging out. Craig says, even when there is a fear of pain, it is intensified when mixed with other fear. Well said. No political chat allowed. Oh, yeah, no political chat allowed means they can't defend their positions properly. Yeah, yes, perfectly said. I mean, imagine. Nah, I'm not going to go there. Okay, Craig says just be a good person is almost like saying just buy a house if you're homeless. Ooh. Um, it's it's like these people that want to have like more and more gun laws. You know what I mean? It's like don't defend yourself. No, don't defend yourself. No, don't defend yourself. Like what logic is there behind this? Like, clearly you're working for nefarious ends if you want people to not be able to defend themselves, and go against this the right to bear arms. I mean, what in the fuck is that? It's kind of the same thing, but just like on a political debate field, if you will, realm. Okay, I'm nice until they're not. Then they've tickled my Gen X side. Fucking yes, rock and roll, bro. Keep on rocking in the free world, bro. Oh, hey, Vulture Man, just for fun is here. Good to have you here. It's predictable. They are predictable, which kind of makes them easier to destroy. I hate to say, but and it's always sort of like, am I in the mood to? Do I want to expend the energy to like destroy this person, or should I just let it go? Don't catch me on a bad day. That's all I got to say. Anyway, there it is. There it is, folks. But yeah. Another thing I'm getting, because like since like again I'm since about on the music scene and stuff, there's a lot of like really heavily narcissistic women out there, and normally they're very beautiful and they know it, but there there's like a darker, cruel side to them, which I've discovered, which is kind of men are just like, well, their resources, their playthings. They're like little puppies that they have, on a short leash. And, they thrive off of, they're kind of like attention vampires, if you will. And if you don't give them the attention that they need for their validation, then they'll make a case out of you. They'll be like, this one, this one is, send it back to the factory. This one is, something's wrong with this one here. He's too masculine. We need to teach him a lesson or something. They notice. Believe me, they fucking notice. They're like, I can't control you. I don't like you. Well, I do like you. Oh, I want your attention, but I don't like you. But to give me your attention, but you're not going to get anything. But oh, you're so handsome. Oh, but I don't like you. Hey, let's get together. Oh, when? Oh, ghost you. It's like it's just a fucking game. It's a fucking mind game over and over and over and over and over. And I'm like, what the hell is going on, man? It's just totally insincere. These are the cat ladies of the future, basically. You know what I'm saying? These are the future cat ladies, and of course, their feeds are just filled with, "Oh, this is my puppy, or this is my cat, and this is what we did today." It's like, okay. Anyway, so easy to criticize people. How about I criticize myself for a while? Let's do that. Let's see. I'm struggling to lose weight. I need to. I've been going through different diets, but part of the whole teaching kung fu thing is a huge plus. I did have a little injury recently that set me back because I couldn't go dancing and exercise, and I'm over that now. But sure, I gained weight because I wasn't doing that. Uh, People have different metabolisms. You're born with what you're born with. Some people are born skinny, and some people are not. And there's just no society has no sympathy for that at all. And skinny people have no understanding of that whatsoever. I always say things like, you know what, gain 100 pounds, lose it, and then come back to me, and we'll talk. You know, then we'll talk. Vulture for fun. It's pretty. I've read that. Craig says because it's not just a simple da da da. You have to have some thought process to have a real opinion about. Good point. Good point. Why do you need 30 rounds? Yeah, right. That's funny. I'm a huge proponent of 2A. Good, good, good. Yeah, it's not even an argument. It's not even a discussion. Anyway, whatever. So, women have a default narcissism when not regulated. They aren't meant to lead themselves. I am going on the record by saying, yes, I agree. I think, I'm sure maybe men have certain default settings that could be negative without being set into a certain kind of social code, that manages that. If it's competitiveness or maybe lawlessness or that, I don't know. There's like what that would be an interesting discussion. Um, that's an interesting point. That's the good thing. You can learn what to expect, how you defend yourself, loved ones. That's the problem, legally, physically. It's an ongoing problem. I mean, you and I, our internet feeds, our social media feeds have nonstop news about racial violence against whites, and not just in America, like all across Europe and other places. And I'm like, really, this is why we need to share that news into normie media spheres so that they see the freaking truth of it every damn day. And I get it. I get it. It's horrible. It's very unpleasant. But it's like you're being shallow is not going to save you. Hello, you know what I'm saying? Like denying reality is not going to fucking save you. And silencing people that are doing the work out here is not going to save you. So it's rough. It's very rough. And then they hate you and they block you, and it's like, fuck, man. Anyway, that's the life of a shitlord. And I mean, I'm not doing it out of anger towards my own people. I'm trying to help them. You know what I mean? It's and I'm finding like IRL that people will, if you bring up, you know, race realism in a conversation with people, and they feel that they're relatively safe, they'll totally agree with you. They'll be like, yeah, you know, hard R, hard R, hard R. Are you understanding what I'm saying? And they're sick of it. They're sick of living in this kind of fatigue that we have. Um, And then when they get a chance to actually express these feelings, it's a big deal, you know. It's a really big deal. Um, so I encourage that like a ton. Like I'm really, really, really about that. Is getting bringing up stuff in with real people in the real world. You know, like hey, you know this thing and that thing, and you know replacement migration and something something XYZ. And you know, if someone brings up a topic that I know can segue into that, I'll do it. You know, I'll segue into that. And you know, you'll notice how uncomfortable they are or not. And then you can kind of, you know, feel it out from there, sort of, you know, play it out from there, you know. And you know, certain types of people, they're just angry and they need to vent. Whereas other people, it's helpful to say like, well, did you know that FBI statistics come out every year and here are the percentages, you know? Or did you know who actually is funding this migrant invasion? Or oh, did you know that, you know, ICE just got $1 billion budget? And why would they give them that much money if this were, or did you know how many millions of people are here on HB1 visas? You know, and like you go down that road, you know, and you hit them with some facts and like you see their eyeballs fall out of their head. They're like, "Oh my god, I didn't know it was that bad. Why didn't you know that?" Well, because it's not on the new. Oh, you know, it's like, oh, don't trust the news and something, something. You know, it's just it's not radicalizing people. It's telling them the fucking truth. You know, if the truth is radical, then you're an idiot. You know, like you're part of the problem. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, boy, I love to get on my high horse. Criticize yourself more, Donald. Let's see. Odinson says, "Oh, my typo demons need to go back to their cages, dude." I need a new phone, like super bad, and like it's so terrible. I do voice to text a lot, and then I'll shoot it out, and then I'll look at it and go, "Oh God, I look like an imbecile." You know. There you go. There's something. There's room for improvement there. You know? So yeah, I have to be more cautious about voice to text. It can be very funny sometimes too. Okay, what else? What else? I will say though, I've got like dissident right fatigue. You know what I mean? Like I'm tired of certain things. I'm not. It's not that I'm trying to criticize the movement or whatever, but it's more like I've been in it so long that it's exhausting. You know, it's there's certain parts of being in this battle that wear you down, that grinds you down, you know, and you know, putting kind of more time into your life stuff, you know, your obviously health is always a thing, but like um it's not expending as much energy on things that make you angry. You know what I mean? I think that the focus on positivity is really the way to go in terms of like we have to do that. I have to do that. And regardless of whether how like what I say on this show, that's not really a measurement of what I'm doing in my life, you know, on a daily basis. You know, I pray a lot, like throughout the day, almost, I mean, and every day. And just really, really, really focusing on my relationship with God. Um, there's a lot of dimensions to that. Um, and it's, a lot of that is just kind of personal, but, there's, in a way that life in so many ways is really a struggle with you versus your own mind, you know, in terms of like the programming that you've had over the years and of who you think you are. The ego is the Jew of the mind. It makes you believe I'm you, and then tortures you with, all these programmings, all the scripts of things that you define yourself by, which are not good for you. They're not, you know, serving you. And so you have to analyze those scripts and you got to rewrite them. And, there's people in neurology that talk about that. There's people in psychology that talk about that. There's people in spirituality that talk about that. So if you're like materialist and you vibe more with psychology and neurology, you can approach it from that perspective. If you're more of a spiritual kind of person, you can take it from that angle. And there's great spiritual technologies out there for that. So that's a thing. Um, it's a thing. Um, Maybe I should share some of my techniques. That probably would be a productive thing to do. Uh, let's talk. Let's talk. Let's share our feelings. Uh, sorry. What do we got here? Vulture. Hold on, I'm gonna back up. Excuse me. Odinson says, don't even need to follow through on trying to get the job as long as an American is typing. Then the law says they can't qualify for path to citizenship. Wow. Vulture Man says, how long did it take you to draw this well? I'm trying to learn myself. I'll answer that after I read the next chat from Craig. For me, it is exhausting that most people in the movement haven't evolved, no matter how much success we have. Yeah, I'm a blah. Yes! Exclamation point. You don't learn how to walk by being content with just crawling. Content with just crawling. Typo strikes again. Excellent point, Craig. 100 points right there, my man. Read comment above that last one you read. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's get back to Vulture Man. So, how long did it take me to draw this one? Okay, do you want the long or the short version? I've been drawing since I was pretty much could hold a pen or crayon. You know what I'm saying? So, I fortunately, like all children draw. All right, let's get more specific. And let's don't turn this into a lecture. Let's start off with this. Okay, so I never lost the passion for drawing. That's a key. But and I'm an art teacher, so I can talk from that side of things. But I got it in my head from my childhood that I'm an artist. So my uncle went to one of the top art universities in America, and my mom, you know, was like, "Oh, you're just like your uncle." So like she got that stuck in her head, and then she sent me to drawing classes when I was young, and then I would get awards and little things, throughout high school, and da da da, and that baked it into me. I had my best friend used to draw comics, so I drew comics too, and that just burned it into me deeper. And then I being a true artist really is a personality type. You're born as an artist. And but that doesn't mean people can't make art or learn how to make art. Everybody can. It's a kind of a skill set. The real difficulty is how are you going to go years at a time working hard at gaining these skill sets and mastering them? And the answer to that is called passion. So, well, I'd say also you have to have a thing to say. What is it that you want to say? Because if this is not part of your identity, or you don't have a passion for something that needs to be said, you will not have the energy to get through the hard work. Okay? So with passion, all things are possible. So that's like you can build a rocket, but if you don't have the fuel to set it off into space, it's just going to sit on the platform. You see what I mean? So I always start by talking about passion. Cultivate passion, cultivate joy for the thing it is that you want to express, for the craft of art, for the skill sets. And then with that, the sky is the limit. You're golden. You know what I'm saying? Um, so now, once you understand that, then all the technical stuff is really just technical stuff. It's just you know how to draw perspective drawing. Learn perspective drawing. Start there. And understand like, oh wow, this is how things are made to look 3D. This is the secret of 3D art that was created in the Renaissance. Um, and then you know kind of learn the mechanical side of it, um, and then learn anatomy, learn the parts of the bones and the muscles and the joints, and how to draw these things at scale, so that if you're drawing someone close or someone far away, if you're drawing someone from a bird's eye view or a worm's eye view. So like, this let me back out. The last panel in this shot is a bird's eye view looking down. So I draw the wall in this perspective so that you understand you're above looking down. That makes sense. Um, the scale, this guy is like a midget and this guy's a giant. So, and it's kind of like a worm's eye view looking up at that. There's just a bazillion million things like that in art. If you look at they're sitting inside this boat, and there's the horizon line behind them, and so like the curvature of the boat, and where they're sitting, and how like this woman's slightly larger than her because things that are closer to you appear larger in space, right? So there's just many, 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 many things like that. Learning how to do, just like these physical gestures, facial expressions, that if you look at their facial expressions in this shot, you can see like this guy's stressed out. This little guy's rubbing his hands. He's, I've turned the monster against you, and he's declaring something with his hand up like that. You look at this guy's expression, and he looks like you've betrayed us. I'm angry, and this guy is like, you sneaky bastard, and he's over here like, no, 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 I didn't do anything wrong. I would never betray you. Blah blah blah. You can feel that in the body language. So that's a whole other kind of skill. There's just so many skills to learn. So how long you're? I mean, I don't know, a week. I'm kidding. Um, Here's the thing, every failure, every struggle is a step towards success. So don't ever discourage yourself. Don't ever talk negative to yourself about your drawing. Um, but don't settle for less. Don't be like, this is good enough. Don't do that. Get that shit out of your head. You want to be like, how could this be better? How could this be better? Look at references, copy other people's art. I used to get a pad of tracing paper, and then I would go into like comics and I would trace things that I thought looked cool. Like, oh, this Batmobile is really sick. How do you draw that? Okay, well, I'm going to trace it Okay. So I'm kind of getting like an experience of how it was constructed by tracing it. It's like a cheat code. You see what I'm saying? And then, oh well, look at this. I got to learn women's anatomy. How do I draw sexy women? Okay, well, now that I'm tracing it, I can actually see the process of that, and blah blah blah. So it's years of work. It is years of work, but if you love it, it's not work, it's play. Think of it that way. Is this really very much what inking and drawing is it's a kind of play, you know. Let's see. Vulture says, "Cool, you're an art teacher." Yes, that makes sense. Um, the best way to master something is to teach it. Think about it that way. If you're teaching somebody else, you've got to be able to break it down and then build it back up. You see, that could be a good approach. Think about creating a drawing lesson for a hypothetical student. You know, how would you do that? And look into resources. Like how have other people done that? I don't have to reinvent the wheel here. Working with the brush is also a very important thing. Like the more you do, like in my case, I have to work with certain tools, and as you work with them, they become like an extension of your hand. Which is like a sword to the samurai. It's just an extension of your body, and then over time, it's very very instinctive, and then you get into a flow state. Like I obviously, like, I talk a lot during the show, then how am I concentrating on the art? Well, it's because I've done it long enough where it's on autopilot. That makes sense. Mhm. So here's an interesting question. Why am I putting a shadow in there and the shadow is at this angle? Let me zoom out. Zoom out. I'll tell you why. Because when you draw comics, you read across and then you go down and you read across and you go down in a Z pattern. So it's not just a shadow, it's a device to lead your eye down to the next panel. You get my point? Oh, so this guy. Muy interesante. Anyway, let's check the chat. Tracing that makes sense. Yeah, totally do it, man. I mean, you'll be amazed. You'll be like, oh, so that's how the shoulder fits into the torso, or like, oh, that's how you draw an ankle at that angle, or I didn't know that, you could draw windows from this perspective in that way. I don't know. I mean, there's just a lot you can learn from doing that. And it is fun. There's a certain kind of fun to it because you look through your comics or whatever, and it doesn't have to be comics. They could be magazines, or actual photographs of stuff. You know, um, a lot of people in comics they use what do you call them? Tablets, and they do it digitally. So what they'll do is they'll get a photograph of, let's say, I don't know, the White House or the Louvre or the Taj Mahal or whatever they have to draw, and then they'll trace it. So it looks like, wow, man, you're a great artist. You can really draw architecture. No, they fucking traced it. Which is like in my case, I don't trace things, but I can look at an image and put it in my head and then draw it over here. You know what I mean? I actually did that just a little while ago. On this page, there is a scene of the Capitol building in DC. So I just went on Google, and obviously this is like rough, but I'll clean it up when I ink it. And I got a nice photograph from the perspective that I needed for this shot. They're coming out of the sewers and they're approaching the Capitol building and these chud zombie vampires. And so that's what real artists are capable of doing is looking at something and duplicating it by hand. Okay. Not some fucking AI bullshit. Okay. So get out of here with your AI. Kirk says, and being an expert at something makes it difficult to teach when the skill is on autopilot. That's a variable to learn the skill of teaching. Interesting. So there you go. So many things in life to know. Yeah. I just wrote that song. It's going to be a big hit. Actually. My music went off. I think I'm going to have to go turn my music back on. So, if you will kindly wait, I shall be right back. I'll let you look at this artwork. How about this one? This one's kind of cooler. I'll be right back. Oh. Hey. Oh, drat, my coffee went cold. See, when you're talking, you just forget about stuff. Coffee, the nectar of the gods. Kofefe. Mm. Oh, I feel renewed. Well, it's better than just being nude. Sorry, that was a terrible joke. Oh my god. Somebody stop me. Do, 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 do. Oh yeah. Dude, I am going to a really, really cool house music event this evening. I can't freaking wait. I'm psyched, y'all. Craig says, oh no. So there's more people in the chat, but they're just lurking. And I would love it if you could say hi. Just say hi. You know what I mean? Just let me know you're here. It's the polite thing to do. I like to talk to the people that come to my channel. It's not, I don't know, I feel like it's part of the whole deal is getting to interact with people. It's fun. Let's see. Hello to Kaniro. Kaniro, are you? That sounds like a Japanese name. Are you Japanese? If so, I can speak a little Japanese if you guys want to hear it. Thanks for saying hi. Now the rest of the people in the chat can follow Splattercat. Oh, yeah. I've been lurking in the background, but since you wanted me to say, oh, thank you, sir. Das ist gut. Anyway, anybody else want to come out of the shadows? The shadows of shyness. Do not fear. Nah, I'm 100% American. Right on. Right on. American. Number one. America人は素晴らしいでしょう. That is Japanese for Americans are super, I think. Or I think Americans are super in Japanese. So I went to school in Japan for a year. How you like them apples? Cray cray, huh? I really never grasped the language that well. I learned a couple of things. I didn't go to learn the language, but it was, required, of course. Um, I went. They had a painting class and theater and Buddhism. Those were the things that I was interested in. It's funny because like I did explain to my Japanese teacher in Osaka, like, I back in America, I'm an art major. I'm not a Japanese language major or whatever. So like I'm taking the class, and I'll try, I want to learn, but like you have to understand that like this isn't why I'm here. And like if I don't do well at it in the grades or whatever, like don't panic. It's not don't just relax, And but being Japanese, she was not really able to like, she's like, must have good grades. It is your duty. You do not want to bring a shame to your family. Study very hard. Donaldo-san, グレーズはとてもダメでしょう。not good. You are bad samurai. Must have a number one grade. And you can be subarashi. Sorry, sometimes it's fun to do like a Japanese accent. It's fun. Come on. Give me a break. All work and no fun makes Donald a dull boy. We can't have that. Oh, I gotta zoom out. You're not seeing. Hello. Okay, Craig Hales. Good, good, good. Are the Japanese as based as we are told? I'm gonna say yes. I could get into very, very deep dive into what like the Japanese mind, and if you guys are down for that, it's we don't have we have a very romanticized view of them through the like anime lens and all this stuff that's not really, it's not a genuine measurement or whatever of who they are. And the same goes for them. Like they see us through a kind of a Hollywood lens that's not really who we are. You know what I mean? So it's kind of funny how that is. But well, if you didn't learn the language too well, then maybe you didn't find out. So what can I say? So just in the news today, and I posted this on my channel. And this is fucking horrible. This is extremely bad news. The Japanese government has just succumbed to the globalists, and they have designated a couple towns in Japan for foreigners. And when I say foreigners, yes, I'm talking about Africans and Middle Eastern people, not like white people. It's not what that is. The white people in Japan are working corporate jobs, English teachers, or they're studying in the arts and martial arts. So they're not there to destroy the country. Um, they have their nationalist party, which is anti-immigration, just won some big vote thing that they had over there. That's obviously a pretty obvious sign. Um, the Japanese have a kind of like shame about their history in losing World War II. That's another reason why they have a kind of love of America. Is they have a really, really, really. It's hard to explain to the Western mind, but they have like a really strong kind of class culture where you respect those who are higher than you in status and age and things. And since America won the war, we are now their superiors, according to their class system mentality. We're not. I don't. When I say superiors, you know what I mean. It's like from that perspective. Um, Prior to World War II and being defeated by nuclear bombs, they were ultra, ultra, uber, super nationalistic. But the the trick of it is trying to perceive all that through many layers of history. For example, like the atrocities that Japan did in China and elsewhere in the East were, I'll just say this, and I think historians could push back on it, but in, according to my understanding, they were rogue generals that had this kind of samurai fantasy, like a death cult fantasy of like proving that how manly they are and how nationalist they are and for the glory of the emperor and all this kind of like that shit, whatever that is. So for example, they would have competitions as to how many heads they could cut off. Uh, Very, very fucking dark shit. The Japanese were profoundly evil in China and elsewhere. And if you're able to tolerate really, really, really ugly, horrible crimes against humanity, you know, look up the rape of Nanjing, and that's just one aspect of the Japanese history. So they're not like the kind of nationalism of that day. It's a more of a nationalism of we love who we are and we want to preserve who we are. So they're more interested in science and economy and just you know doing well as a nation economically. They have a very serious what do you call it, population problem, and the government is going out of its way to give benefits to people who have more children and blah blah blah, all of those kinds of things. So they're not the militaristic Japan of the last century or what have you. All of that, by the way, was them pretending to be white. So Asia was colonized essentially, and they could see that Europeans had far superior technologies than them, and they didn't stand a chance. And then once they acquired these technologies, then they started behaving like that. Like I don't, I would say there's, and somebody can prove me wrong, but to my knowledge, there was never a time in Japanese history where they tried to colonize China. That's like a fucking ridiculous endeavor, an insane endeavor. You should know that there was a Sino-Russian war in like territories. That's a whole. I'm not an expert on the Sino-Russian war, but Japan won some great victories there. And as such, I think that really gave them the sense of like, you know what, if we can do this, How far can we go? Like, why aren't we the hegemon of Asia? We're gonna use military force to become the dominant hegemon in this region. Um, so I don't. Am I answering your question? Are they as based? Well, I mean, they're not us. You know what I'm saying? So like you can't say per se that like maybe our based and their based are just different flavors. Does that make sense? So maybe that's it. The rape of well, okay, Nanjing is okay. When you translate Chinese words to English, there's actually three different written systems for that. And what you might be more familiar with Nanking. So that's just a written system from like 2 centuries ago that they figured out how to learn Chinese and blah blah blah. Nanjing is the Chinese pronunciation of it, and Americans are not going to do that. They're not going to say the proper term. So I speak some Chinese, so I'm going to say Nanjing. Okay, but Nanking is fine if that works for you. Hey, Charles is here. Great to see you, man. That's sort of back engineered European technology. Perfectly said. Yes, very, very well. And they haven't stopped doing that, right? I mean, it's like, then it was like transistor radios and cars and, blah, 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 robots and da da da. And like, that's what they're good at. They are brilliant at taking ideas from other cultures and then like improving on them. And they did that with Chinese culture. Kanji, which is the Chinese characters in Japanese language, is that. So there you go. Um, as much as I love the Japanese, that it really would not be easy to live there. It would be extremely alienating. They're very different from us. Um, it's not anime. You know what I mean? It's not. That I people have to get that weird notion out of their head. You know? um, but they are very accommodating. Like anyway, I'm not on like a selling Japan show or something. Anyway, Craig says that's the translation that came up when I searched it. That's perfectly fine. Hello to Corey. Good to have you, bud. Good to see you. Charles says they admire the white male hero as shown in games with Mario, Link, Solid Snake. Leon Kennedy, good afternoon. I'm reading back. The Japanese have no idea what they're in for. Fuck, man, I know. It's so horrible. It's already happening. I mean, there's videos coming out of like chimp outs and shit. But there's also videos like there's these like there was I don't know, this kind of like TikTok type blacks that go to Japan and then they do stupid shit in public and they get arrested and then the police will publish the torture video that they did of that TikToker, and it's not torture in the form of like permanent damage and cutting and burning or like it's that electric shocks, but they'll put them in really awkward positions and then stretch them really really hard to the point where they're like screaming and stuff, and it's awful, it's horrible to watch, but it says fuck you in a really clear way, in a way that I am not against, I guess, in the sense of like I really wish that the West had more of a sense of defending itself against animals, who are robbing, raping, and killing us. Why in the fuck are we letting these people into our countries, or even giving them our technologies? Oh, we need HB1 visas. There's 55 million people in America on HB1 visas. Think about that. And it's like, oh no, those are the good ones. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. Very, very, very done. And people who don't see like years of video of the kind of violence that these people do to us, they don't get it. They don't get it. And if you're not plugged in, you're not plugged in. You don't know. It's just, I don't blame them for not knowing, but for fuck's sake, open your damn eyes. Like in the age of information, ignorance is a choice, and you can take that to the bank. Like that's a phrase that I use a lot with people, and well, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, why are you defending people that hate you? What the fuck is wrong with you? You don't get any kind of points for that, shithead. And then, I don't know, on and on. Another day in paradise. um, uh-oh, call the feds. He's criticizing brown people. Anyway, speaking of brown people, one of my new kung fu students is black, and he's like a super cool dude. Like a super, super cool dude. We have a lot of fun. And I would actually argue that he's actually not black because he speaks proper English. He dresses decently, normally. He walks normally. He can say, "Ask. Can I ask you a question?" He's capable of doing it, and he's funny as hell. Like we laugh our asses off. We have so much fun. I met him out on the house music scene. He's like an amazing dancer, and like his dancing style is like super funny and weird and like geometric and just goofy. Like he doesn't give a shit. And he's wearing like a Pikachu t-shirt, and I'm like, dude, you're breaking all the rules, man. You're gonna lose your I'm black card. And he's just a decent person. He's like what I'd call a normal person. Um, breaking the matrix. Yo, if you don't hate white people, you ain't black. Sorry to contradict you. Sorry to contradict your beliefs in me. MAGA. Whatever happened to MAGA? Where did it go? Let's read some comments. I feel like I'm talking about Japan too much, but it is a really interesting topic. Uh, Wait, is that history or his story? The rape of Nanking. That's sort of back engineered. I read that. Vulture Man says if you throw silverware down some stairs, what your odds of getting an Asian word? Ah, ha, ha. I know, like the name is. I know that's an old joke. What is based? That is based. Sorry. Corey says they need to work and earn a living. Meanwhile, over 50% of college grads are unemployed. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many stats you can talk about. Honestly, I just don't. Why the hell are we giving our shit away to other people who, you know, they're just sending our money back home. They're taking our technology, our skills back home. Like we're feeding our competition. There's no good reason, none. It's anti-nationalist. Let me ask you something. Yo, Mr. Donald, let me ask you a question. I gotta ask you a question. Can I go to the library? Oh, is that like a strawberry or a blueberry? Cat girl T-shirt manga waffin confirmed, sir. You just got 1,000 points. Thank you. I guess only the inner circle would know this joke of ours. Manga waffin. Um, I'm not going to keep talking about the rape of Nanjing, but I'll just say one last thing. So, as you can probably figure, I have had lots of Chinese friends from Kung Fu and living in Taiwan. And one of them sent me, ugh, this is years ago. I don't know where it is, and I don't even recommend anyone looking it up. But he said, like, there were new photographs from that event that were discovered, and they're published at, the museum of the rape of Nanjing. And he sent me the link, and that is, I mean, harsh, man. I mean, it just can't. It takes a piece of your soul away. Like, you're just, when you see these things, you're just like, how is it that human beings can treat each other like this? Like, how is that even possible? Oh, anyway. And I mean, when I taught Japanese English in New York City, I can remember them saying to me, like, we don't want to be nationalized or militarized, because we know who we are, we know what we can do, and we don't want to be that again. And I'm like, well, yes and no, in the regard of, like, I get it, but I'm like, so whatever. I mean, if they took all the brilliance of what they do with technology and applied it to the military, they'd be probably unstoppable. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because they're really, really brilliant with these things. Um, so I'm just putting that out there. Instead, now the Chinese have all that shit, and their budget for the military is sky high. It is extraordinarily high, and if you were to compare, like, it's way higher than our budget. It's crazy. They, I mean, the Chinese have biological warfare that targets white DNA. That, like, they could drop a gas bomb with these agents in it, and it would target people with white DNA and then just kill them. And then they can just come into and move into our houses and take everything we have. I'm sure the Jews love that. I'm sorry. I could get away from this dark stuff and talk about some happy things. Oh, there's a sale at Walmart. It's kind of boring to watch me draw the back of a computer. Exciting. But it's good for the economy. Yeah. Yeah, I saw a meme the other day. It's like libertarianism, and it shows like an NPC playing video games with like a bong, and like he's got one of those, like, "Don't tread on me" posters on the wall, and it says libertarianism, "Don't touch my stuff." And then underneath it is the guy from 300, Leonidas or whatever, and with all those soldiers behind him, and then it says nationalism, don't touch my people, and I'm like, yeah, that's the shit right there. I mean, people have just been so like socially engineered into just thinking that you know everything is just about stuff, and like not. It's like there's no community, there's no history, there's no identity. You can do what you want just as long as it's not hurting anybody. Oh my god. Craig says, "Is that lotion next to the tissues?" Yes, that's so. Yeah. Now, just to make it very clear, I was instructed by the writer to do that, to put that on this table, because it's the joke here, if you will, is that it's about how NPCs and normies got radicalized through 8chan and 4chan and Paul and all those internet. So like here he is with like a manga anime shirt. He's drinking like a Red Bull or something. He's got his gamer style what do you call it? The keyboard, and sort of an incel type character, and then this being comes out of his computer that is pretty much called 8chan or 8chan. So that's the name of this character. But he's meant to look like he's Chinese, like he's wearing like a Chinese opera mask. His suit is red china. So there's a kind of implication there. Um, and the joke is in a sense that like China has how they always blame China for things. All the Chinese, the China, like Trump, that kind of thing. And like, who radicalized the youth of today? So this is a comedy spoof. I mean, you've got Chud, you've got Clown World, you got Democrat or Demoncrat, who looks very what? He possesses certain physiological traits that we know about. Blah, blah, blah. Reptilians, the whole reptilian thing. So that's the world of the Alliance. Yes, Craig is correct. Yes. I think you're. I will not read what you wrote, but yes, you are correct. So, I mean, just knowing those words, those terms, that's internet culture. You know what I'm saying? I can kind of zoom out a bit on this. Not everybody in a certain generation or what have you is going to know those things. Um, and I think that it's cool that you can kind of say like, wow, we've got like a comic that or a graphic novel that speaks to us instead of like DC Comics is new brave Superboy is gay and we're celebrating Pride Month and all our characters are turning gay for Pride Month. That kind of shit. Like we're so tired of that woke shit. That we want media that is for us, that we can laugh at, we can enjoy, that we understand, that speaks to us. Even though this is like comedy in this particular scene, the topic, it actually has a lot of like you know deeper meaning to it. So I'll give you a look at this. Like, hold on a quick sec. Like this character here, she's got she was like an ex-girlfriend of the superhero, the main character. And when she felt like she was wronged, she went to like a Jewish psychiatrist who taught her like, this is not just about you, it's about, all women, and you must take up the torch of feminism. And so she cuts her hair and dyes it pink, and she's got one of these like pink Black Lives Matter type fists on her shirt and Marxism. And but he gives her some serum that turns her into this kind of super monster, and she's out on revenge to go kill all men or some shit. It's you get where I'm going with it. It's like a spoof on feminism, you see. So there's a lot of layers to this stuff. Mucho layers. Oh, how's my Spanish? Muy interesante. Are they invading his goon cave? Well, kind of, yeah. Hold on a sec. Let me show you some pages here. Let's go through the next couple pages. Hold on. Get them in order. So this part of the you're gonna love this. You guys are gonna love this. This is hysterical. Give me a second. I want to put it in order so that it makes sense. And I'll walk you through it in a second. So that's um I gotta erase something that is personal from these pages. Hold on a sec. I want you to have my home phone number. Oops. I mean, some people would like it. All right, so let's go to where are we? Hold on. Page 17. So these guys were in the scene and they're talking about something. And so then we cut away. So the next couple pages is going to be like storytelling. So the corners of the panels will have a little kind of a curvy edge, and that is a device that signifies that we're not in the present moment. It's like a kind of a surreal flashback. Okay. So that's what we're entering here. And so these guys are talking about, well, that guy's not in the comment. Anyway, these guys are talking about something. And so they're saying, oh, excuse me, something about like, okay, normies, MAGA, and then they got on the internet and they found out about 4chan, and they started this internet culture of the alt right, and they got into synthwave. There's going to be a poster over here of a character called Synthwave with the name Synthwave, and so that'll like add to the culture of like the 2016 alt right, and so then but it kind of goes into, so like there's these web girls. This is this spoof on like what's her name, Daphne something or other. She was like the big web girl. uh what's the one you pay the money and then they do sex for you? What's that called? I forget the name of the, it's not TikTok. It's, I don't buy into that shit, so I don't know that what it's called, but we all know what that's called when girls girls. Anyway, so they're these represent like drugs and sex on the internet, and here's Clown World over in the corner talking, like narrating it. And then at some point, this NPC becomes like the food of this vampire web girl, and she's feeding off him. Like these women, they make millions of dollars. What the fuck is that called? That Belle Daphne. That is correct. That's the one that this is based off of. She like popularized that orgasm face where they cross their eyes and stick their tongue out. That girl that's selling their bathwater, that's exactly the one. Yeah. So it's the introduction of those elements into the internet sphere and how it's influenced people, young men, namely. Fuck is that? Come on, how come I don't know the name of that? It's slipping my mind. Anyway, so here you have like these e-girls, and they're feeding on that they trap young men into their web, so to speak, and so they're making money. And then Hate Chan comes on. They discover Hate Chan on the internet, which teaches them how evil that is and how bad that is, and that we should not be that. We should raise our standards and, you know, white identity and all this kind of nationalism, alt-right ideology stuff. And so what that does is it transforms him from an NPC into kind of a Sigma Wolf type character. And then these new influencers appear. And then one is this guy is called a cartoon Nazi, and his shield is a Sonnengrad. And then this guy over here is Nazbol. So, and do you guys know what Nazbol is? It's Nazi Bolshevism, which is a total contradiction. That's like the two things cannot exist in a single space. But somehow or other, somebody invented this ideology called Nazbol. So you can see he's sort of like a bull man with like the hammer and sickle of communism. And so the he's giving a Sieg Heil to these characters, and it's showing the history of online political culture over the last few years in comic format is cool. So Corey, you just won the fucking golden trophy. That you won the prize. That is literally what the Alliance is. It's that and much more. But I'm hoping you guys can see the concept behind it. And it's very playful. Everybody gets, mud slung at them. It's not like, Heil Hitler or something. It makes fun of everybody. So I'm obviously, I'm definitely pro National Socialism and third position, but I can also take a joke. You know what I'm saying? And it's because this is, I don't know, I've said too much. I think I've said too much, so I'll stop there. So here we are in the story. What's next? So then, what's our guy? Clown World goes on to explain the formation of various other cultural things. So, like, here you have all these feminist robots, or fembots as they're called, and they're hanging from these cords that are plugged into the back of their neck, and they're being fed into a system of like feminist ideology, which is which is symbolized by this female warrior character who's called E Thought. E as in electric, like E Thought, ideas from the electric sphere. And I forget what the owl symbolizes. It's some sort of a feminist symbol, I think. I forget what it. Maybe it's. I don't know. Maybe it has other symbolism. And then here's another shot of like a 1950s TV, and then I forget who this character. I forget her name right now, but she's basically like she represents like CNN and the narrative of how TV news teaches people about what's going on in the world, and then that's creating a kind of a like Rambo style character who's like killing men and women in other countries and something like this, that kind of rhino Republican war machine military industrial complex type man. So that's a trope of that. Okay. And then you see the NPCs crying over that, and what's his face? Clown World continues talking about it, and so this part is actually I have to do some changes here. I'm going to erase this character, and so this guy here is called Trad Cat. He's like a man who can turn into a cat type character. So it's a play off of Trad Catholics. So Trad Cat. More about him later. This guy is like like Orthodox Christian, so he's like an Orthodox Christian superhero, and he's that's a whole other thing. You've got Grug. Do you guys remember Grug? I think that meme has expired actually. Like we don't see Grug anymore. Um, and then you've got Grug. Wait a minute, Grug and sorry, no, Chud. Sorry, Chud and Grug. Again, you got to know the memes and the alt right culture to know these things. So blah blah blah. More is happening. 8chan takes his Chinese opera mask off, and there's like nothing inside. It's just like space. There's gonna be it'll be like outer space inside him. So um, and there's this kind of a funny joke here where the Chud touches grass and then he explodes into fire. So, like, you've probably heard the term touching grass. It's like touch grass in this economy, like, meaning like we're so busy making money and going online and consuming internet culture that we've lost touch with nature. And so here he accidentally steps on some grass and then bursts into flame. So there's again, I'm not the writer of this story. He's got his own whew, his mind works in a really crazy way. He's very wild. It's just a wild, wild ride. So, but I think that's what people want. They want, internet culture that is fun and crazy and over the top. So you're gonna get it. You're gonna get it. Now, um, I always lose the one thing I need. Okay, I'm gonna tape this up, and I can take questions actually if you guys want, or something of that nature. Okay. I'm tired of talking, hearing my own voice though. Um, Nazbol was as goofy as White Sharia. Yeah, yeah, it's funny. I mean, I kind of like White Sharia a little bit more, but you remember those things. Nazbol, I just can't wrap my head around though. Okay, I have a little coffee break there. Let's read Belle Daphne. OnlyFans. Duh! Why couldn't I remember that? OnlyFans. Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. 1,000 points goes to Corey. Thank you, sir, for your assistance showing the history of online political culture. Da da da, Nazbol. Splattercat says, I can tell one thing for sure. This comic is going to be a nostalgic trip for me, for sure. My son was born in 2015 when all this started, so it was a surreal time to be involved in all of it. Wow, bro, to go through being a father and that at the same time, it's like insane, man. That's heavy, man. Corey gives a laugh. Splatter says, "Is Gorlock the Destroyer going to make an appearance? He, she, it would make a great villain." Damn, dude. I'm gonna tell the writer you said that, and he might squeeze it in. That's actually genius. Then we're gonna have to send you money. Corey says the touching grass and bursting into flames seem as funny as fuck. See, that shows this works. Like the humor in this works. Like it makes sense. Oh, that's good because put a lot of time, money, and effort into this. Earlier, you guys were not on the show, unless you were lurking, but I mentioned. Excuse me, hold on. I mentioned that the company that is funding this graphic novel uh, has been doing research into having it made into an animated series. Whoa! Can you imagine that? Be like kind of like, have you guys heard of Adult Swim? You know what that is? It's like forget what channel that's on, but it's basically like weird adult level cartoons and stuff. I assume you guys probably know what I'm talking about. But now they have, well, anyway, the researcher. found out that like adult, when I say adult, I don't mean porno. I just mean like weirder, kind of stuff. Um, but anyway, adult animation is like $1 billion industry, and so once they saw that, they were like, "Ka-ching!" And we've got these investors orbiting the project. They want to get their talons into it. Excuse me. So that's pretty. That's encouraging. That's very encouraging. If these investors can see the value in the thing, they get it, then that's a very good sign. So I think what would be crazy is if I went to like San Diego Comic Con for this. Can you imagine that? Would I wear a mask or just go full docs, full face docs? What do you think, guys? Like I'm not even for me the whole like yeah, I get, you shouldn't show your face or whatever. I've been doxxed already, to be honest with you, so whatever. But I think it's good to not show your face because it puts the focus on the content. You know what I mean? It's like this isn't about my face. This is about the art. It's like, um, and it takes pressure off me. I don't have to be like, oh, how's my hair? I don't have to be like, I don't have to fuss about those sorts of superficial things. But yeah, man, if this really went big, then yeah, I guess that's probably what would happen. And I worked Comic Cons for years. I love Comic Con. I love Comic Con. So there you go. There you go. And now you know. Yeah, Adult Swim was Cartoon Network. Thank you. Played a pretty big role in Sam Hyde getting more attention. See. Okay, Corey says, as far as using an alias on your own identity, I think we should do both. Do both what? Fake name and hide your face? Okay, I think that's what you mean. But yeah, legitimately though, it's just, like I don't have to be an actor, and so to speak, really like, hey guys, here I am. How do you like my new shirt? You know, um, but I would say though that it seems to me that the trajectory of this is that we shouldn't have to hide. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't. It shouldn't matter, kind of. Of course, I guess society would have to change quite a lot for that to happen. I don't know. A while back, how many years ago was that? There was a On Twitter, there was a huge fuss about this thing, which was basically an Antifa. Cre- some Antifa guy created a hit list of like Twitter people, and I mean, it's literally like a fucking hit list. Like, and I'm on it. And it was saying like, like Antifa's gonna hunt down and kill these people. What? Can you imagine that? And how come the police are not doing a thing about that? You know, if we did that, you better fucking believe we'd be in jail. The feds would be at the door, like stat. Antifa can do it. Oh, do. Look the other way. Chief feds. I wonder who you're really working for. Yeah. But yeah, when that came out, I mean, it did. it freaked a lot of people out at first, but then our guys were like making jokes about it and memes about it, about like how proud they were that they were on the hit list. Like, I just, and then somebody finally doxed the guy that made the list, and he just was this dweeb dweebarama guy, and it's just I mean, to threaten to kill people on the internet is not a joke. And like hit list or whatever, like what the fuck? It's not cool. But they're still out there, guys. They are still out there. Oh yeah. I was watching this kind of influencer dude on, I think, Instagram, and he basically does exposés on like far left people that get paid to do protests and various things, and like the college pipeline of like how they get rewarded for having radical ideas and shit, and then like this the Susie Jones wrote this article about how the police should be eradicated, like there should be no prisons, and she's a winner, okay, we're gonna hire her and pay her secretly to like organize all of these violent protests, blah blah blah, and you know it's just crazy, man. It's fucking crazy. What the fuck, and then you get a couple white guys that want to meet up and have a beer, and talk about like, okay, how can we help our situation, how can we educate our people. It's like, oh shit, that's got to be infiltrated, you know set up some feds in that group for sure. Okay, and job doesn't always equate to entire career. Not necessary. You have these investors. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. I'm ahead of myself here. Craig says you have these investors for the comics, so it shouldn't harm your career. But I know that is only one aspect. I mean, anybody can hurt you at any time for any reason. It's just not. We don't live in a safe world. There's no law. There's no law and order. There is who has power and who doesn't, who has money and who doesn't, and who follows the status quo or the Jewish agenda and who doesn't. You know what I'm saying? There's I don't feel safe at all, anywhere, anytime. This is the way. This is Zog. We live in Zog. Do you understand what I'm saying? In spite of it, in fucking spite of it. What I mean, that's kind of part of the joy of what I do, is doing it with the knowledge that I'm out here just speaking truth, and being real, um, in a world of censorship, and anti-white hatred. What was the new? There's a lot of new quote laws unquote, about you can't criticize Israel, and Israel. You can't boycott Israel. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of that shit going down right now. It's going down. Um, it's fucked up. I guess if it's not on your radar, you don't know. Um, Presumably, you guys all have that kind of stuff in your algorithms. You know. Craig says maybe a little over a year ago when I was looking for work, I saw a job post on Craigslist openly proposing to pay people to be protesters for $40 per hour. That's a lot of money. I didn't take the offer, right, or even apply for it. I also came across job posts looking for actors, actresses to be extras in red flag news stories. I've seen such things as well. I mean, they just openly fucking post this shit, you know? They just openly post it. You know, it's like, yeah, we're looking for crisis actors. Do you want to make a difference? Corey says, I used my real name for most things, but platforms like X are a whole different beast. I actually used to get criticism for not using an alias as if I'm a Fed for standing out what I believe. Yeah, there's a whole learning curve to that shit. Openly called them staged events too. Totally. What the fuck? Really? Damn, dude. That's just fucking silly. That just shows like how confident they are in that they own the system. You know, it's like, we don't need to hide. We just, we own the system. Why hide? You know, Craigslist. There's some very fishy shit on there, man. Back before I became who I am, there was this one super, like, way out liberal hippie dude. And he was like, oh, yeah, I got this job on Craigslist that, to like go across the border and pick up a truck and then drive it across the border. And like, yeah, then like when I was in the truck and I was at the border, I was like, oh shit, this I probably shouldn't be doing this. The whoa, you know, yeah. Um, that guy is like he's got Antifa written all over him. Like he is the perfect Antifa candidate. Um, and like there was another dude who was this is years and years ago, so I don't know where these people are. I left that school long time ago, but another one of them, he's this like he's from Chile and he's going to law school and he's literally like in his social media posts just like fuck the police and like yeah overthrow the system and blah, 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 all this kind of radical leftist type talking points. And it's wild how we live in a country where you can go on Facebook and say that shit. You know what I mean? And it's just like, oh, there it is. Do to do. Facebook is like scam heaven right now. I just oh, I'll tell you in a minute. I'm gonna read a comment. When I applied Java Red, even though I thought, oh, okay. So this hurts me just telling this story, but friend of a friend, older woman, got scammed by a Nigerian guy on Facebook. Somehow he hacked into her and he was like sending her pictures of her house. And he says, if you don't give me $1,000 or whatever, I'm gonna send inappropriate pictures of you to your friends and family on Facebook, which you can do with AI. You can, you get someone's picture, upload it, and say, show this picture, show this person doing something, inappropriate. And she did not pay him, and he did it. He sent these pictures to her friends and family. Now, I don't know how old she is, probably mid 50s or something, I guess. I don't know. The poor woman was fucking devastated. I mean, someone who's not an internet culture person and that generation, that's abuse of a very, very evil kind, you know? And I'm like, let's just bomb Nigeria, you know, like fucking bomb it, you know. I'm just have I'm so done, you know. I'm sure there's good people in Nigeria, you know. I'm sorry, apologize, but to the good people of Nigeria, find these people and like have at it. Like that's all I gotta say. Moving on, and here I am. I'm just saying, oh, you're not supposed to call for violence on the internet. I'll put it this way: if I were Batman, I would be breaking a lot of bones. Let me just put it that way. I would make a special point to find internet scammers who like take the life savings of elderly people and like give them flowers. Anyway, okay, moving on. Here we go. One more little thing to do. I wanted to put a drop shadow behind this guy. Craig says, I don't think AI pics of people are very realistic looking. To you and me, yes. But to Susie Jane, who lives down the block and you know uses uh, Facebook to communicate to her grandchildren, you know what I mean? Like that would be like, I mean, it would just ruin her, you know. It would really, really ruin her, you know. And I don't know. I don't think everyone is that savvy. Like just because you and I are savvy and internet savvy or whatever, there's still a lot of people that are just very much in the dark about the world. They don't know what's really going on out there. A lot, you know. And the older they are, the more sheltered they are. They have no clue what's going on. You know, I work with some older people, and I mean, I don't say anything. I'm not trying to like, you know, be like, oh, you guys have no clue or whatever. But they demonstrate just like how much they're on the farm. You know, like they just the things they believe. It's just TV talking points. You know, people who still believe in democracy, who still believe America is a country. I mean, it's a country, but it's not in certain ways of looking at it. You know, I'm sure you guys know what I mean. All right, that's pretty much almost done. So let's figure one thing out here. Dee-dee-dee. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna use this. So I'll use the edge there. That might is that too big? Is it gonna work in every case? I'm trying to draw those little curvy edges here. So no, there's no new comments, so I guess I'll just carry on. It's a pretty long stream, man. 144 minutes. I feel like I better get some lunch though, because I'm doing my one meal a day thing now, and my stomach is like, it's like, feed me now. um, where is that one thing? Why is it always like this? I always look for a certain thing, but I can't find it. Maybe I should get organized. All right, I got it. Feed me now. Anyways, so where are you guys on Trump right now? What's your? Uh, What is your take on Trump right now? The gold man, the orange man. Orange man bad. Orange man bad. With Trump, yeah. Like, I want to hear what you're thinking on him these days. So it's funny, we don't really talk about Trump much in our sphere. We have other matters, you know. Oh, nobody wants to speak up on the topic, I guess. Oh well, it's fine. I'm not one of those spurgs that's like, I can't believe you said that, and then it's just like insult you really hard and blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of young guys that are like that. It's like, if you don't agree with me exactly what I say, then you're gay. That kind of thing. Okay, so that's 17, 18. Thinking I will do these corners first. That would be more intelligent. Wow, no one wants to say anything. It's okay. You don't have to. Um, hmm. Hmm. I just did. Well, yeah, but it says message retracted. So I don't know. What did you say? A dirty word or something in there? Um, uh, mm, Corey, your message is not showing. I don't know why that is. Oh wait, I don't think. No. Sorry. Neither of your messages are showing for some reason. I guess Trump is now censoring my channel personally. It's going to be really huge. We're the greatest. It's going to be the greatest Donald Kent show ever. I can't do a Trump. I should learn how to do a Trump impersonation. Um, there was this one Kill Tony show, and I forget the name of the comedian. He's super popular. He's very based, and he does a Trump impersonation that is like insanely funny and like so like on the point. He's really really good at it. Um, you guys probably know who I'm talking about. And then there was another comedian on there who did Biden. It's like it's pretty funny. Lot of laughter on that show. Like laughing your head off. Laughing. All right, what's going down here? It's going down. I know inking the borders of the panels is pretty boring to look at. I'm sorry, but it's got to be done. Let's read. Okay, let's read what it says. Corey says the innovators and the deported auto censored now. Wow. Orange Muffaga. I gotcha. Corey, well, I'm seeing some of your comments. I see yours too. Wow. Why can you see it, but Donald Kent cannot? Muy interesante. Boy, this YouTube stuff is pretty amazing technology. It's like it's got a mind of its own. I wonder if there's like a blue-haired person monitoring the chat. That would be so cool. So cool. Or Keel, Kewl. Um, let's see how this works. That's funny. Oh my god, that's funny. P porting. What is this? Porting. Okay. People. Yeah. All right. Well, there you are, and there you go, and now you know, forevermore, and so shall it be. Such as it is, I'll just say things that, without context, are meaningless. That would be an interesting show. Anyway. Um, well, yeah, my stomach is just screaming at me right now. The other thing too is I'm going dancing. Like it's like an early-ish night. It's like 5 to 9 because it's a Sunday. So I don't want to go in there all logged with like food or whatever. Like logged. What am I saying? Like waterlogged. Like you know what I mean when you feel full-ish. You don't want to do that. So I'm going to wrap it up here momentarily. Soonly. Why don't I just go do it now? I'll wrap it up now. Okay, gang. What a blast. You guys are awesome. Don't be an NPC. Be cool. All right, guys. Have yourself a good one. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care, brothers. Yes, good stuff. Keep your chin up. Positive thinking will win the day. All right, gang. Love you. Take care. See you next time. Sayonara.